Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram
Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasa Praishwa Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistike. Continuing Canto 7, the Signs of God, Chapter 13, the behavior of a perfect person, text 33. Rajatas Chaurata Shatro Swajanar Pashu Pakshitaha Atibhya Kalata Swasman Nityam Pranatavat Bhayam. Those who are considered materially powerful and rich are always full of anxieties because of governmental laws, thieves and rogues, enemies, family members, animals, birds, persons seeking charity, the inevitable time factor, and even their own selves. Thus, they are invariably afraid. We discussed some of these points yesterday. Prabhupada here also says that the person is so attached that he's also afraid of himself. And one of the fear Prabhupada highlights is he will forget where he kept his money. It's true, no? Yeah. Many of the people who come from foreign countries, they don't put in the bank. So they keep in their home somewhere under the bed or in a hole or something, and then they forget, no? And then they panic.
Yes. Persons seeking charity also there. They go and ask for charity.
Yeah. So they're worried the people will come knocking on the door and say, give some charity. So they're afraid of all these people.
They worry about themselves also.
They worry, they forget. That's the main thing. Oh, where did I keep and so on.
One time this, I think the earthquake happened in Gujarat. There was a guy who was like very, very rich, billionaire kind of, but he was like living like a pauper. And he was hiding everything gold in the,
Bags.
not bags, in the big hole.
Yeah.
So the earthquake happened and everything got flat. Now you don't know where the roads are, signals, the home, nothing. Everything gone.
See, actually, things in bank also will cannot detect bank.
At least bank, you have a record, you see. Whereas if you go and hide where your money, you don't know where sometimes.
So he was like crazy, then he got crazy actually. There was a whole article that came on him.
So that's what happens. Prabhupada writes there also. Unnecessarily, they will endeavor, and then when they lose, they go crazy. Instead of thinking about their relationship with the Supreme Lord, they are worried about all these things. Prabhupada also says how the man's own relatives are thinking how to take it back. It's also true. We've seen that. Text 34. Shoka moha bhaya krodha raga klaibhya shramadaya yanmula shunyam jaya spriham pranartayor buddha. Those in human society who are intelligent should give up the original cause of lamentation, delusion, fear, anger, attachment, poverty, and unnecessary labor. The original cause of all of these is the desire for unnecessary prestige and money. So it's obvious what the Vedic culture is all about and what the present modern society is all about. You will also know, right, in your constitution, American Constitution, the pursuit of happiness. So wealth, happiness is part of the constitution. I mean, they feel that is what everyone should be doing. But Vedic culture is totally different. It talks about your original constitutional position. So there's a difference between the goals already. So you can see that. And most of us are familiar now with the goal of Vedic culture. And we should be very familiar with that. Otherwise, I have often asked devotees what is their goal, and they will always say, to go back to Godhead. I mean, that's a good goal, but the real goal is to develop love of God and to serve Him. In service, we have a loving relationship. That is our main desire, actually. Right, so, and to make that effective, the Vedic culture has divided its society into the Varnashram system. Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, so that they don't have to work too hard. Minimum requirement, that's basically, it seems that when you endeavor for something unnecessarily, this is what Prabhupada says, for unnecessary prestige of money, you forget your goal of human life. And even among devotees who are practicing, this becomes a problem. As I was mentioning the other day, this devotee in the 70s, retired, had good pension or social security. They get very nice, but still not happy. So went back to the same company, and I mean they didn't employ, but he works for them on contract now. Exactly. It's a devotee initiated and all. And I did ask him why, and he said that's how it is. And he goes around talking to people about how to invest in different projects around the world, stock market, and so devotees also have problems like that. Unnecessary prestige and money. No point, all these things, because, like I said, I also have seen what happens to people who accumulate so much, and then they are afraid that, just like the previous slave, that the devotees will come for charity or Krishna will take away. So they don't even communicate. And then their relatives come, and then when they are dying, they are not interested. They're like, when are you going to die? Bhagavas are dying, and they're like, why don't you die sooner? Like that. So I've seen that, and I'm like shocked at the situation, the real life situations. When you are healthy and you have money, you have many friends. But when you are sick and about to die, you will only have the vultures around you. Yeah. So they are not interested.
That's true.
Yeah. So that is why Vedic culture is very important. So we have to start from young age, like Kaumaram, Achara, Pragya. So they know, and they will not look at the parents as, why they're not leaving me anything like that. And not get angry. I've also seen situations where the parents give a minimal amount, and then the rest they give to some charitable organization. So the children take a lawsuit and go to the court to demand the courts to change the will. And in doing that, they say their parents are crazy. So therefore, when they did the will, it was not with sound mind. It's sad, no? When you think about it. Why? Because they don't have the understanding of what our civilization is meant for, meant for perfection of life. So practicing is very important. You have to show to others, even if your own children don't follow, it's okay, but at least you set good example. So others will say, yeah, it's doable, it's practical, it's not something we are imagining or something like that.
Prabhupada went on his own, right? I mean, Prabhupada single-handedly did. Like,
yeah, Prabhupada showed how it can be done. And he also showed what happens if the family members don't support. It's a difficult situation he went through also. Okay. So idea is we should have a goal, a proper goal. Then we won't have such difficulties in making choices. Now, Prabhupada says in the second paragraph, if you look carefully, he says the perfection of life is to take sannyas. Yeah? And he says people don't understand what sannyas is all about. And generally, and I've heard this many times, people have told me also, oh, you because you don't want to take any responsibility, social or society. So yeah, you quit because you know, and they say because you don't want to pay tax. But I can say I've worked and I paid tax also. But, you know, so this is some of the problems you see, but they don't understand what this sannyas is all about. It's to fully engage oneself in Krishna consciousness. Like, you know, earlier on, Narada Muni was saying about the Brahmachari ashram and the Vanaprastha ashram. And he talked about Grihastha ashram. So here you see the emphasis Srila Prabhupada wants to highlight is it's to give, you've gone through all those ashrams already. You've done it, you know. And whatever desires you have, you should be satisfied with those ashrams. So this again, as practicing devotees, we should think also that in this life, this is all I can have. I can't have more than that. It is pointless to think, if only I've done this, then I would be. If only. The reality is, yeah, you can keep thinking, if only. But a devotee who understands the philosophy will also know that it's not if only. This is what I was meant to have, and that's it. And come to the point of understanding that this is my dues, and that's it. And if I think about, oh, I should have this or that, then I have to come back. And the choices in the world gets more and more stringent and difficult each successive generation, right? You can see it yourself, how you were 20, 30 years ago when you came here, and how difficult it is now. And still people are, like I remember when I came in the 90s, early 91, 92, the petrol prices were like, what?
50 cents.
$60 something?
Yeah, $1 and less.
So like 98, it was over years. No, 69 cents in Everett.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 60 cents.
And 39 cents in went to Tulsa. 39 cents.
Yeah, and I'm not joking. When I came here in 87, the prices were like 20 cents.
Wow.
But phone was like $1 something per minute.
Yeah.
Phone was very costly. Phone was very costly.
Yeah.
Now it's free.
No.
So if you look at it, you know, you may think I'm earning more, but actually you're losing more. Because the way it's all screwed up. You can't see it unless you really look at how the money is going. Percentage wise, you look, it's a lot more you're paying. Huh?
So one of my our
company managers,
said he is making a lot of money, and he was from the very poor family. He put in like 15 years in the business. So how? It looks like with his hard effort he could earn money. Is it karma or how? Why
Yeah.
So much money.
We all are going through different karmas.
So
someone will be rich when they start off as a young man, and then they get poor before they die, and someone will be just average all the way. Someone will be poor when they start off, and then they get. It's all based on karma.
So this particular effort is not. It's already distinct from past life.
Yeah, it's already predetermined how much you're going to get. You know, whether you get it average over your lifetime or you get it one lump sum at the end of your life or before your life, right?
So that person believes that he's done hard work now. That's why.
Of course, because there's lack of knowledge. No? In ignorance, we think, oh, I work so hard. You know? Like that.
Ask her now.
Yeah. Right? So that's part of the problems we see. And Prabhupada also wants to highlight, because a lot of time people think sannyas means go begging from door to door. But that's not the goal of sannyas. Actually, they go to interrupt the grihastas from indulging in non-Krishna conscious activities, to give them some association and to help them come out of this sense enjoyment that most of them think it's the goal of life.
They think they're doing a favor to the sannyasi.
Yeah. So anyway, in our Srila Prabhupada also says we shouldn't just take sannyas because it's part of the varnashram. It's meant for people who have fully controlled the senses. Vacha vega manaso krodha jiva udarapas. So when you have done that, then you can take sannyas. Not through peer pressure, or everyone says, you should take sannyas. Yeah, I think so. Not like that. It should come from the heart. I want to dedicate completely. I don't want any more attachment like that.
The other thing is a lot of negative examples of sannyas we are seeing. Most of them are negative. So the general perception is, okay, this is also like this.
So Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph, he says a sannyasi should have an institution meant to preach Krishna consciousness. He need not accumulate money for himself. So this is one of the important, serious things, because many sannyasis may be having, around the world you go, you see they have their own wealth and so on, or pretend to be sannyas. We recommend that as soon as money accumulates in our Krishna consciousness movement, 50% of it should be invested in printing books. So Prabhupada already recommending, and 50% for expenditures, especially in establishing centers all over the world. So in this regard, I think we are not really that good yet. The managers of the Krishna consciousness movement should be extremely cautious in regard to this point. Otherwise, money will be the cause of lamentation, illusion, fear, anger, material attachment, material poverty, and unnecessary hard work. Right? If you don't manage the money properly, then you need money. You have to go out begging people.
Now, Prabhupada said, each and every temple is an individual entity here, and they say that whatever money is donated, it stays here with the temple. Like, let's say any small temple, any center, let's say if they have plenty of money, how can they invest in the book printing? Because book printing is only by BBT,
we
right?
can give donation to BBT.
Okay.
To print books.
We do BBT.
You're supposed to remain. We do though. Temples do, but not like what Prabhupada is saying.
Yeah. But not to the 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it will not be like, because most of the time our temples announce that whatever you donate, it is for the deities here, it is for this temple here.
Yeah, that is true. The deities here are the same as BBT. Krishna books, Bhagavatam, they're all deities here. Yeah. In general, I think most temples do a good job by catering to the local congregation. But at the same time, the preaching must go on, right? Where is the book going to come?
Right. Otherwise, they can order more and more books, and then.
That's what happens, right? During November, December.
Yeah.
We say everybody take one crate of books and we donate. So that money actually BBT.
Yeah.
That's books. And so over the year, we count how many BBT books there. And then 50% he says here for the expenditure of the centers.
Centers, yeah.
But every time Prabhupada writes that not a thing should be used for sense, not a farthing should be used for sense gratification.
Yeah, otherwise we get bound.
Yeah.
That's his point. And it's fact.
Difficult.
Yeah. Of course it's difficult.
About all the
It's difficult. That's why we have to associate properly and help one another. So Prabhupada continues, when I was alone in Vrindavan, I never attempted to construct mathas or temples. Mathas or temples. Rather, I was fully satisfied with the small amount of money I could gather by selling back to Godhead. and thus I would provide for myself and also print the literature. When I went to foreign countries, I lived according to the same principle. But when Europeans and Americans began to give money profusely, I started temples and deity worship. The same principle should still be followed. Okay? Whatever money is collected should be spent for Krishna, not a farthing for sense gratification. This is the Bhagavatam.
This is the first time I think Prabhupada said I.
Yes, first time, yes. This is the first time. Yeah. And it's very, as you say, very sweet, if you think about it. And the reason he's saying as Sannyas, I didn't take money. And I only use it for Krishna's purpose. And even when they were building Mayapur, they built a hut for, mud hut in the gate there. And Prabhupada refused to go inside. He said, I'm satisfied here. Yeah. Later on, when all the buildings, they say Prabhupada, then only he went. Otherwise, he said, no, like that. Text 35.
Madhukara Mahasarpao.
Madhukara Mahasarpao.
Lokesminno Guruttamao.
Lokesminno Guruttamao.
Vairagyam Paritosham Cha.
Vairagyam Paritosham Cha.
Praptaya Chikshaya Vayam.
Praptaya Chikshaya Vayam. The bee and the python are two excellent spiritual masters who give us exemplary instructions regarding how to be satisfied by collecting only a little and how to stay in one place and not move. So now he's answering the question. Text 36.
Python also?
Yeah.
It doesn't move.
It doesn't move, no? It stays in.
Since it eats a lot, right?
Yeah.
From that place.
No, over in the
Python means you stay in one place, open your mouth, and put. Text 36.
Viraga Sarva Kamebhya.
Viraga Sarva Kamebhya.
Shikshito Me Madhuvratat.
Shikshito Me Madhuvratat.
Kritraptam Madhuvadvatam.
Kritraptam Madhuvadvatam.
Hatvapi Anyoharit Patim.
Hatvapi Anyoharit Patim. From the bumblebee, I have learned to be unattached to accumulating money. For although money is as good as honey, anyone can kill its owner and take it away. Right, so again, Prabhupada says the same thing. You'll be harassed if you have too much money, relatives, governments, thieves. It's like that. I remember reading many years ago, one man struck lottery. He got quite a lot of money, and then after a while he disappeared. So the police couldn't find him. Eventually they found out that the wife killed him. It's great. It's an Indian couple.
Now a lot of kidnapping going on.
Yeah.
These people, their kids have been kidnapped.
So that's why if you use it in service of Krishna, then you will be protected. So here he's saying not to accumulate too much money. Just use for what your need is, for tax purpose or to educate your children, like that. You don't need too much, and you don't have to show people you have too much. Those are over-endeavoring. Too much. Sometimes people have sufficient and they can be happy, but not enough. Then they have to invest in more different projects. They want to go into oil. I remember one devotee who was. He felt that there was not enough money in the movement, so the whole thing started off with a good intention. So then he said, "I'm going to do oil futures and something." So he started going in, but those oil futures are managed by big gundas, So this guy is nobody. So anyway, he tries buy and sell and so on, Then after now it's like how many years already? 10 years already. And he practically is not chanting his rounds.
Wow.
And because the markets in a different part of the world he's trying to buy, so he's up all night. So he stopped coming Manglat, he stopped stopped everything, got kicked out of the temple, everything. So, these things, if you become so attached to money, thinking, oh, I'll get the money, then I'll support all these projects, it's never going to happen. And once you're intelligent enough to know, once you try once, twice, you should know, this is not my, Krishna is not going to stop it. No, this person couldn't. Yeah. The worst thing is he was a vanaprastha.
Oh.
But he didn't do anything. In the end, everybody kind of rejected him. All the temples he go, he'll just sit in this room and do online stocks and so on. So finally, they all told him, thank you for all. You can go. So that was the end of it. Yeah. So therefore, we shouldn't over endeavor. Yeah. Or I've seen devotees also lots of money. Instead of being satisfied and do more preaching and so on, they go and buy land, different parts of the world, develop the land, and sell it like that. But what is the goal, What is the goal? On top of that, you have to pay more tax, right? If you have, let's say you earn 5-10 million a year, how much tax you have to give? Half of it, no? Depending, you write off in business things. So that's what they do. Tax 37.
Aniha paritushtatma
Aniha paritushtatma
yadrachopana tad aham
yadrichopana aham
no chaye bahani
no chaye bahuvani
mahahir eva sattvavam
mahahir eva sattvavam. I do not endeavor to get anything, but I am satisfied with whatever is achieved in its own way. If I do not get anything, I am patient and unagitated like a python, and lie down in this way for many days. Completely satisfied. Huh? This person is not worried at all whether he gets to eat or not. So this is like Prabhupada says, detachment. And you can see honeybees are like that. They work so hard. They don't enjoy the honey, They collect, you can see, and they go and then they drop it in the comb, honeycomb, like Prabhupada says, and then they keep doing the whole day. And usually they live for only 2 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Somebody else will take it.
And then it'll die. But this work endeavor is so strong,
We missed yesterday's class. Whose dialogue is that actually?
The person was lying on the same.
There is a saint. There's a
Yeah.
saint lying in one of the places near a cave or something like that.
Okay.
And the Prahlad Maharaj sees him and comes and talks to him because he can see this guy is very advanced. But why is he lying in the place?
And he has a fat belly. Stop.
And he looks very fat. So he says, how can this guy be fat and still just lying? It's kind of very funny, but that's the reality. So therefore he says, Prahlad Maharaj says you are like a python lying down. So he explains his situation. So then I've seen also sometimes wasps will attack the honeycomb and kill the bees and so on, like that. So
Like demons attacking the.
yeah, so you shouldn't take so much. And the bumblebees are bigger bees, and they make honey also, but they don't make as much as honeybee. So they just use it for their own needs. When winter comes, they'll eat that, and that's it. And then Prabhupada says, just stay in one place and be satisfied, like the python. So detach like the bumblebee and remain peaceful like a python. So these two are very important instruction. Text 38.
Vachal alpam kvachit bhuri
Vachidalpam kvachit bhuri
Punjenam swadva swadhuve
Punjenam swadva swadhuva
Kvachit bhuri gunopetam
Kvachit bhuri gunopetam
Gunahinam uta kvachit
Gunahinam uta kvachit
Shraddhayo pahratam kwapi
Shraddhayo paritam papi
Kadachin manavarjitam
Kadachin manavarjitam
Punje bhuktva takasminschid
Bunje bhukta kasminchid
Devanaktam yadrichaya
Dehanakam yadrichaya. Sometimes I eat a very small quantity and sometimes a great quantity. Sometimes the food is very palatable and sometimes it is stale. Sometimes prasada is offered with great respect and sometimes food is given neglectfully. Sometimes I eat during the day and sometimes at night. Thus I eat what is easily available. Obviously, he's not eating nonsense. He's eating proper offered prasad. But sometimes people don't give, sometimes people give nicely. And this is true also, right? When you go on book distribution, sometimes people are generous. Sometimes they shout at you. Sometimes they don't give you anything. It's the same way you can see. Yeah, like that. Text 39.
Kshaumam dukkulamajinam
Shamam dukulamajinam
Chiram baukalam nevadva
Chiram balkalam nevava
Vashenyal api sampraptam
Vaseyanyad api sampraptam
Dishtabhuktushtadir aham
Distabhuktustadir aham. To cover my body, I use whatever is available, whether it be linen, silk, cotton, bark, or deerskin, according to my destiny, and I am fully satisfied and unagitated. Text 40.
Kvachishchayedaro paste
Vachichayedaropaste
Trinaparnashma bhashmasu
Trinaparnasma bhashmasu
Kvachit prasada paryanke
Kvachit prasada paryanke
Kashipavvar parichaya
Kasibhava parichaya. Sometimes I lie on the surface of the earth, sometimes on leaves, grass, or stone, sometimes on a pile of ashes, or sometimes by the will of others in a palace on a first-class bed with pillows. Sometimes people take him to nice places. Prabhupada says he's actually saying that he has taken different bodies and birth in different lifetimes. So that's what he means by sometimes here and sometimes there. Right? So according to the living entities' material desires, you get different types of body. It's just yantra, rudranyani, maya. Yeah, that's what the whole idea is. Riddesha Arjuna Tishtani. So I guide them to different destinations. So you have no choice. By the will of the Lord, you are forced to take different bodies and go through the different lifestyles. Text 41.
Kvachit snato pulitanga
Kvachit snato anuliptangaha
Suvasha shragulya aulipata
Suvasa sragyalankritah
Rate vashvishchare kwapi
Rate vasvaishchare kwapi
Digvasa grahavadvivo
Digvasa grahavadvivo. Oh my Lord, sometimes I bathe myself very nicely, smear sandalwood pulp all over my body, put on a flower garland, and dress in fine garments and ornaments. Then I travel like a king on the back of an elephant or on a chariot or horse. Sometimes, however, I travel naked like a person haunted by a ghost. Text 42.
Naham nindena chastami
Nagam nindecha somi
Swabhava vishamam janam
Swabhala vishamam janam
Etesham shreya ashashe
Etesham shreya ashase
Utaikatmyam mahatmani
Utaikatmyam mahatmani different people are of different mentalities. Therefore, it is not my business either to praise them or to blaspheme them. I only desire their welfare, hoping that they will agree to become one with the Super Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Unless you come to understand Krishna consciousness, you will not be able to do these things. Right? You meet different people, you will say, this guy, I hate this guy, I like these people, like that. But here he shows you how you can be neutral. In the material world, that's what we do, right? When we see our bosses, automatically we praise our bosses, no? But when the boss is not there, you will all speak bad about the boss. He is like that, she is like that. It's very common. So Prabhupada says in the material world, the good or bad has no meaning. If you look in the purpose, they have no meaning actually. Because, according to the situation, time, right, he's good. If the boss give you a bonus, then he's a good man. Must be a really good person, right? But then when he asks you to do more and shouts at you, then you say, he's a rascal, treats me like that, right? The whole so I've seen that also. There are a lot of, especially very business-minded people. This is what they do. They hire people, they pay them very little, and then they make them work very hard whole year. And these people are always cursing them. And then at Diwali or what, they give them bonus. And the bonus is actually not that much. But they give them a lot, like 3-month pay, 4-month pay. Like that. But they already pay them so little. So if you add up all those, it's not much. But the people who get it, they're like, wow, 4-month pay. They will call their friends and they'll say, my boss gave me 4-month pay. Bonus. But actually, so therefore, you will you understand carefully, the good and bad have no meaning. Right? And based on what you are enjoying and not enjoying. And Prabhupada also highlights differently. He says if somebody is really good, then he'll go to a higher planetary system. And if they are really bad, then they go to hellish planets. Okay. So according to your mentality also, you also get to go to different lifestyles. Like same thing, mentalities and so on. And because we are all practicing now, we have to be very careful who we are going to discriminate or not. Just like in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, his stepmother discriminated him. In fact, she was offensive. And he wasn't a pure devotee at that time. But look what happened, the reaction. She became crazy and went to the forest and burned herself. Correct? Did you remember? Dhruva Maharaj's pastime. Yeah. So therefore, practicing Krishna consciousness, we should not discriminate very badly with one another. We should discriminate. Discrimination is necessary. Who to associate, not associate. But not to speak badly about a person. You have to be very careful. Right? So, why Prabhupada says that? Because he says, when we practice, we are actually representing saintly person. And saintly persons don't discriminate between that which is supposedly good and supposedly bad. Rather, he desires for everyone to be happy in Krishna consciousness. So whatever your capacity is, right? Even when you are, for example, Prabhu, you are a temple, when people come and talk to you and say different things. There's no choice. You have to sometimes listen to all that. And sometimes someone will come and give you a lot of donation. And still, you have to be very careful. What is this person's intention? Right? Yeah. Because you are taking for Krishna, but the person may have some other desires. So it's not easy. Nobody in the movement have an easy time, because whether you are preaching or you are doing managerial work, it's not easy. You have to face so many differences between devotees, between people, and so on. So therefore, you need to know how to discriminate, but not become offensive about it. Text 43.
Vikalpam juhu yachitau.
Vikalpam juhyachitau.
Manasyartha vibrame. Manovaikarike utva. Tammayayam juhotyanu.
The mental concoction of discrimination between good and bad should be accepted as one unit and then invested in the mind, which should then be invested in the false ego. The false ego should be invested in the total material energy. This is the process of fighting false discrimination. So Srila Prabhupada says how the yogi helps himself to be free from all this material association, how it affects him. Then Prabhupada says why it affects people differently. When a karmi works, he just sees the results fruitively. And he's attracted for that fruitive thing. And therefore he cannot see himself. He just sees the results that he wants. But the jnani is different. No? He's trying to discriminate with knowledge. I'm different, this is material. And Prabhupada says the best is yogis, because they're bhaktas, because they're not interested in all these things. They're not even worried about thinking I am a spirit soul, I'm not material. They know theoretically, but they are trying to serve. So by serving, they automatically get out of all this illusion. Right? As soon as you serve, you are in what position? Transcendental position. So that's a difference. Whereas the others are all thinking about their own needs. Which is why, remember the verse? Bhukti Mukti
Siddhi Karmi Sakala
Santa.
Krishna Bhakti
Niskama Ateva Santa. So that's the difference. And Prabhupada then quotes this verse that one who is doing devotional service, he is always above the material nature, and therefore he will not fall down. Why he doesn't fall down? Because he is always doing devotional service. If you don't do devotional service, then there's a good chance of falling down. So that's the difference. So Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpati. So at a level of Brahman, that means he is no more affected by the material energy or material nature. Sometimes we think, right, how I can stop material energy from acting on me. Do service. That's all, just do service. If you don't do service, then it will affect you otherwise.
So today's in corporate world, one of the key topic is resilience. Resilience means how do you come back after difficulties? Because everybody goes resilient. Yeah. They talk so many things, but actually this is the actual.
This is the best way, exactly.
Because material energy is cannot fight.
You cannot fight material energy.
But people don't understand.
Yeah. Text 44.
Atmano bhutatammayam.
Atmano bhutatammayam.
Juhuyat satyadrinmuna.
Juhuyat satyadrinmuni.
Tato niriho viramet.
Tato niriho viramet.
Svanubhutyatmani stita.
A learned, thoughtful person must realize that material existence is illusion. This is possible only by self-realization. A self-realized person who has actually seen the truth should retire from all material activities when situated in self-realization. And that means a person actually feels it in their heart, not theoretically, that this is, I'm wasting my time. And then they make the choice of giving up material life completely. For many of us, because we are in different ashrams and different situations, we are also afraid to give it up. Right? There's a fear. What will happen if I do this, and what will happen to this situation, that situation? Of course, the Supreme Lord doesn't say you give up your family just like that. One should be very responsible. Duties must be done and so on. But the point here, this sadhu is saying is that as soon as you realize, right, the whole point of what you have realized is that everything here in the material world is temporary. It's an illusion. It's made up by our desires. Right? We want to live in certain situation. So we don't know when, but it happens in the lottery. One lifetime you'll have what you desire 1,000,000 lifetimes ago. And then you're thinking, well, I wish I had the other things. Like that. So he says, if you understand all this sequence that's going on, and then you put yourself as an observer in your life and see what is happening in your life, then you become self-realized. Right? You say, why is this thing happening? Just like Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? He went to the gambling game. He lost everything. Then after Draupadi begged, then Dhritarashtra said, take and go. And then they left. And again they called him. And even before he reached Indraprastha, they called him back.
Just started.
And they say, come and play the one more time. And then he stopped and he was thinking, what is this? His brothers were saying, don't go. This is ridiculous. And he said, okay, I'll come. So later on when they asked him, why did you do it? He said, because I could see that I wasn't in control. There was a superior force in control. So therefore I allowed it to happen. So why? Because he didn't feel that he is doing it. He felt that there's something superior is moving force. Everything is moved by that potency. So he put himself back, took a step back and saw his life. And then he realized there's a superior force acting. And so he said, let's see the conclusion of this superior force. Now we won't be able to do that.
Yeah.
But we can practice this thing about observation, which will help us later on. For example, if you understand there's some force that's going to take away certain thing in your life and it goes, you won't get so depressed. You can accept it, okay, so be it, this has this, I don't like it, but I understand why it's happening like that. Right?
Okay, peaceful.
Yeah, you become peaceful. In generally, mostly in the first few days, you may not be peaceful because of the conditioning we have. But with good intelligence, we can give up that attachment, and then we can move on life. But if you don't even practice that, you cannot even be peaceful. You go around calling all the devotees, saying, "This guy is rascal. This person did this to me. This." Hell with the person, I'm going to find something, I'm going to take him to court and all this kind of things, right? People do, I hope he dies, heart attack, whatever, crash, accident, that's how people talk. But because they are not seeing it as part of this material world that's happening, full of illusion and so on. So to come to this realization is very important. This practice we are doing enables us to see things clearly, actually. Remember earlier on, he said one needs to be able to discriminate. So you will get the discrimination, the potency of discrimination. You get that. But you have to be sincere about why you are practicing it. We are not practicing it for show. We are not wanting people to say, oh, they're all Vaishnavas. What's the big deal? We are not doing it for any of this position and so on. We are doing it because that is reality. Living in this way is an illusion. We've been gone through this, I don't know how many times, nobody knows, no? How many times we have gone through this system of taking birth, experiencing all these things in different situations. So So it is not easy in one way, but at the same time, with proper execution of Krishna consciousness, we should be able to understand this illusion that we are trying to enjoy. Okay, just like people who are addicted to certain substance abuse and so, they are always trying to get the high, right? They say the high, but they can never get it, no? And still they cannot give it up because they are addicted to the first taste.
Yeah.
And so they keep going on and on and on until they die. Actually, it's very hard to give up any of these substances, especially heroin and all that. They usually don't give up. The success rate is very low. But they'll show so many people went to the rehab and they all successful. Yeah, at that moment they were successful.
And then it'll come
And
back.
all these people, they will not say how many are repeat offenders. Because it's very low, very low. People who actually truly give up and forget are people who take up Krishna consciousness.
That's what happened with the hippies, right?
Uh-huh.
That's what Prabhupada changed so many people.
Yeah,
gave up
exactly.
drugs and became devotees.
When you're a heroin addict, you cannot give up. You rather die than give it up. That's how it is, how addictive it is.
So I was reading an article in newspaper. Said one boy, as a young boy, he like at age 15, he got addicted to heroin.
Mm.
But then he got frustrated after a few years, and then he wanted to change, and he went to rehabilitation. He gave up. He took up a teacher position, and he was serving in some school here. After again like 10 years, some frustrations have come on him, and again he took shelter there.
Mm.
And again it finally he passed away just taking because of overdose in
There you go.
a school bathroom.
Mm. So it doesn't work. Actually.
Doesn't work.
So that is why we have to understand this illusion can affect us differently. You see a person with substance abuse, he's an illusion, thinking he's happy. Same way, if we are identifying so much of this material energy, thinking we are happy, it's the same. We are addicted to material lifestyle. We have to give up, and the only way is to cut danda. Take a danda and cut it. So you need someone heavy to hit you until you say, yes, I'll give up. Okay. Next 45.
Swatma vritam mayetam te
Swatmagatam mayetam te
suguptam apivarnitam
Suzuktam apivarnitam
vyapetam lokasastrabhyam
Vadetam lokasastrabhyam
Bhavan hi bhagavatpara
Bhavani Bhagavatpara. Prahlad Maharaj, you are certainly a self-realized soul and a devotee of the Supreme Lord. You do not care for public opinion or so-called scriptures. For this reason, I have described to you without hesitation the history of my self-realization. So he's saying, I have realized also. We can't say like that. No? We can say we have realized that we are suffering. That is our... That you can say that.
We think that we realize.
Huh?
We think that we realize.
Yeah, you cannot say that you have factually, spiritually realized, but you can say, I've experienced that I am actually suffering. Each of you have gone through so many aspects of your life that was not meaningful at all, and unnecessary. And then now those were not the best days of your life. And now you know what Krishna consciousness is, but to put the extra effort is what's causing a lot of problem for many of us. Mm-hmm.
So, Prabhu, he didn't, the Brahmin didn't answer that why he was so fat, even though he was...
Sometimes he gets weight and sometimes he doesn't get. So he's answered that. When he gets opulent food, he gets fat. When he doesn't get, he loses weight. That's the best way. He doesn't worry about his diet. Now, the thing he says, I do not care for public opinion or so-called scriptures. But most of us cannot do that, right? Right? If somebody says something about you negative only, you cannot sleep for a few days. Right or not? You're so sensitive, In general, most devotees, practicing devotees, I have found to be very sensitive. In fact, all the devotees are sensitive. But when you practice properly, then you know you will not worry so much. It's okay. Let them say what they do.
Difficult to follow the third instruction.
Uh-huh.
The third six Ashtamam play. It's very difficult to follow.
It's not easy, but it's practice is what we need to. You should know who you are first. If you know exactly who you are and what you can do, then whatever people say will not affect you. But if you're unsure about what you're doing and how you are doing it, then it will hurt you, because then the false ego comes in. And remember, early on he says, I already merged the false ego. Everything desires, everything merged into the false ego. And
so one time I heard this, and it's very interesting. If somebody tells you you're a dog, so there are two options: you accept it or you reject it. Means if you accepted it, means you'll feel bad. If you reject that statement, you'll not feel bad.
Yeah, it's attachment. To
It's attachment.
Yeah.
So if
Because
you
immediately we identify.
yes.
Or if you're intelligent, you should say, yes, I'm a dog. I'm attached to my guru. I'm like a dog. I'll follow wherever he goes. I'm a dog. I'm my guru's dog. Like that.
So that person.
It's a mentality.
Yeah, he's saying that to counter, you want to fix yourself, that you're very sensitive. So then start thinking in that direction. That you start accepting their statements.
Yeah, you can reflect on it, but you cannot get into a difficult situation. It's thinking, no, I'm not. I have to prove that I'm not. You don't need to sometimes. When Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were preaching in Vrindavan, there was a very famous Pandit. So he came to challenge them. So he came and told them, I want to have a discussion. They said, no, we don't want to, challenge. Then he said, but I want to challenge so that people know how good I am. Then they say, no, we won't challenge. Then he said, will you sign a letter that saying that you were defeated by me? They say, yeah, sure. Then he made a letter saying that, and then he was walking on, and Jiva Goswami came and he said, what happened? Oh, I just got a letter. Your
defeated your uncle.
Rupa and Sanatana have been defeated. He's like, this can't be real. The point is, they took it easily. They didn't care. So that's what he's saying. I do not care for public opinion. What he cares for is devotional opinion and the Lord, how the Lord sees you. So if you know you do well and you know you haven't done anything wrong, it doesn't matter what people say. Sometimes you'll see, maybe the whole life you may have to bear a burden. The Scarlet Letter. There's a book called The Scarlet Letter. Yeah, you all know, right? It's a
name, but I never read it.
Yeah, it's a literary work where this lady is accused of being adultery, and so they force her to wear the letter. It's a whole book on that. But anyway, so that's how we all think, I have to prove I'm not like that. So what? Sometimes you find you may have to bear this burden all your life. But at the end, Krishna will be pleased. Your spiritual master will be pleased. But sometimes even though you are right, your spiritual master will chastise you. And then you can't accept that because you're so into that I am right and they are wrong and I have to prove my worth.
But we also, we have to follow the scriptures all the way, even if you're a pure devotee. Right?
Yes.
Why is this saying that they don't care for the scriptures or Vedic literature in this verse?
Or so-called scriptures.
So-called. Not the bona fide.
Not bona fide scriptures. He's already following properly.
He's writing so-called.
Yeah.
Not the regular scriptures.
Okay.
Common scriptures.
Yeah.
Lokasastrabhyam.
Lokasastra.
Yeah. That means it's not actually the
Dharma.
It is by what the local people talking about, village, based on some stuff like that. Yeah. So the Purport Srila Prabhupada says how Prahlad Maharaj just simply followed Narad Muni, and he didn't care about his father giving him such a hard time. The same way, he didn't care. He just defied his false instruction. So similarly, he's saying, I didn't care what people say because they don't know what they're talking about. That's what it is. So for your practice, you need to read Prabhupada's books nicely so that you know in your heart, I am not doing anything wrong also. Yeah. If you're not strong, someone will come and defeat you easily. Saying you're a fool, don't follow these Hare Krishnas, you should go and do all these things, you can go and meet your friends, go to party, no problem, they will say. You will come across devotees who talk like that also.
Even if you can't defeat them, just don't listen to them.
Yeah, if you can't.
Say, yeah, but don't follow what they say.
Yeah. So thank you very much. You're my well-wisher, so nice to see you. Hare Krishna, you go away. But there are devotees like that who don't practice very properly. And then you have to deal with them also. Right? You're going to meet many like that. And then you think, if they can do, I also can do. But they may be doing nonsense. And then you end up being a nonsense. And then Krishna won't give you the mercy. So you have to be careful. We all came to this movement. And Prabhupada says those who came must be intelligent. So you have made a successful transition somewhat, but now let's execute completely. Right? If you want to die, last minute, you all should imagine how I'm going to die. Will I die crying about my family, or will I die happily thinking Krishna will take care of me? Right? There's some things you also put in goals in your, immediate goals, short-term goal. What happens tomorrow, right? Everything is taken away from you.
Death goes.
Then what? What are you going to do? So you have to think like the extreme situation. What will I do in this situation? Will I panic? Will I scream? Will I cry? Will I blame Krishna and the devotees? Right? Why, I need a few more years. What will you do in those few more years that you haven't done in this year, this many years? Problem with us is we are so conditioned also in our execution of devotional practice that we hate to make changes. And so we try to think all other reasons for not doing it. So we have to be very careful, right? Or sometimes we think, I'll go to India and everything will be peaceful. Right? But your forehead goes with you. Yeah. So you can't change those things. We have to be seeing, if I'm not Krishna conscious here so much, how will I be Krishna conscious there? In fact, you go to India, many times you cannot do very well.
That's very difficult.
Very difficult? How difficult?
Chanting itself is very difficult.
Chanting is very difficult.
Because you
Can't go to temple also because too far away.
I used to go to temple once a week only.
Uh,
That on Sunday I had to drive for 1.5 hours.
yeah.
Can't do anything. Can't stay for too long.
And then you're stuck in someone's home.
Yeah.
You live with them and they'll talk and they'll all watch Sun TV, Z TV,
Star Plus.
Star Plus, Star Negative. It's all negative, but they watch. And then they look, and then you also sit. By the time you die, you are in one of the stars. It's true, I've seen that. India is one of the worst places where the TV runs 24/7.
Yeah.
This morning only they will start. Amazing. Huh? Morning only they will start.
Never stopped.
Yeah, that's why I think never stop.
channels.
It's the worst place to go. You ruin your children, you ruin everybody. That's the one device that ruined the culture completely. Is TV. It's politicians. So then what to do? But then where is he intelligent? Here the Srimad Bhagavatam say, Yajanti hi sumedasa. So if you go back and do all the nonsense, how can you say you're intelligent? I'm initiated, so I must be safe. I've got a ticket. Right? All this philosophy is nonsense philosophy. Yeah. So So he's saying, therefore, he doesn't care for all these kind of people. I'm not going to listen to them because they are actually ruining my life if I listen to them. So therefore, we should focus and try somehow, sincerely do what you can here. It's so much better than going there and getting ruined. Yeah. Unless you're only going to stay in the temple there. Otherwise, very difficult. Try driving in Bombay, you know.
Yeah, there's, I don't know, many of you may be knowing, there's a devotee here, long old time, Santosh Pal. Yeah, so he went there and he went to Bombay. I asked him what is his experience. He was staying in one end because it's very difficult to
commute.
Yeah. So he said like it took 2 hours to go from his home to Radha Gopinath temple. We go there. And then say by the time we reach, like we are half tired.
Yeah.
And then in temple also, when you go,
always
there's a lot of devotees on Sunday especially. Because that was the only day available.
3,000 people.
And then again coming back 2 hours. So he was like constantly lamenting there. So he came back here.
Not only that, you go, you sweat.
Yeah, exactly.
You take 2 showers.
Yeah.
I was going through.
He said, here I remember 10 minutes we are in temple. So peaceful.
So don't take it for granted. That's my point. Text 46.
Sri Narada Uvacha Dharmam Paramahamsam Vai Mune Shrutva Sureshwara Pujayitva Tata Amantriya Prayaya Griham.
Narada Muni continued. After Prahlad Maharaj, the king of the demons, heard these instructions from the saint, he understood the occupational duties of a perfect person, Paramahamsa. So this person was a Paramahamsa, not an ordinary person. Thus he duly worshipped the saint, took his permission, and then left for his own home. Now we can't do this because it's not our occupational duty. So try to understand, this is the occupational duty of a Paramahamsa. So they can lie in the street, but they still focused on Krishna. We lie in the street, we are focused on, I miss my home, my bed, my spring, double spring, whatever bed, water bed, home, all kinds of things. So therefore he understood this is a person on a very high level who's not worried about his own body. Whatever, he's just surrendered completely to whatever the Lord will give him. In the Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada says, hang on. Kiva Vipra Kibanyasi Shudra Kena Ye Krishna Tattva Vita Se Guru Hoy. This can apply to all of us. Meaning, if you understand the science of Krishna consciousness, you can help anyone. So in one sense, you can be a guru, but not like, there are different categories of guru also. You can be a guru who's first helping someone to understand who Krishna is, or you can be the guru who tells people, what happened?
No problem. You press the top button.
Here?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that one. Press the button.
Button here?
Yeah, the top.
On the top, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Anyway. Right, so guru, there are different types of guru. Then you can have Siksha gurus giving instruction. And finally, if you take shelter, then you become if you give initiation, then you are the Diksha guru, like that. So there are different types of guru. But apart from all that, most important thing is you must know what Krishna consciousness is all about. Again, the emphasis that Srila Prabhupada would want us to know is to know his books properly. Know his books and practice it. Then you can always help others. Okay. Prabhupada also wants us to understand that Prahlad Maharaj himself is also a Paramahamsa. And it takes one Paramahansa to recognize another Paramahansa. And that's why you can say, okay, this makes sense. But otherwise, how will he know? He'll say, yeah, maybe this guy is, something different like that. Prabhupada says he's also our guru.
Paramahamsa, Paramahamsa literally means one who can discriminate very well. Paramaham, like the Hamsa.
That is one meaning.
Paramahamsa is like they think everybody is more advanced than them, right?
That's like Uttama Adhikar.
Something like that.
Yeah. They see the whole world, everyone has devotees. Yeah.
I was just looking for a literal meaning. There might be some.
Well, you can say it's a best swan.
Best,
So a swan-like person, he's a swan-like devotee. So topmost, among all the devotees, he's the topmost.
Extract milk from water.
yeah,
One has
that is-
some
yeah.
mythical property there.
Yes, so that is what Prabhu is saying. A swan can take the milk when it's mixed in water. So the Paramahansas can get the best, even if it's the worst situation. So he's in a terrible situation because he's got nothing, but he sees everything in a favorable way. Like that.
Here, Prabhupada says, Paramahamsa says that Bhagavat Priya.
Yeah. It's dear to the Lord. Very dear to the Supreme Lord.
Sometimes they come down to the lower level, like Prajakacharya.
Yeah, like Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. To preach.
To
Otherwise, they don't
preach.
have.
Who's going to preach otherwise? Like that. So that's end the Bhaktivinoda purports of the 7th canto, 13th chapter, the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Behavior of a Perfect Person. So you can see how a Paramahansa behaves, but if you compare that with Srila Prabhupada, you can't understand. Actually, it's not easy to understand a Paramahansa because we are not on that level.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to be on the same level to know who they are. So some indication, some
We got some glimpses.
some glimpse. Yes. All right. Text chapter 14, ideal family life.
Looks like for us.
So now he wants to know the occupational duties of the householders. Yeah. Grihastha. Text 1.
14.1.
This is our chapter.
Yes, Manju.
This is our chapter.
So till now we learned all the qualities like Brahmana, Kshatriya, and women and Paramahamsas. So everything I feel everything is hard to practice and so how to attend Krishna following the minimum quality, like is there any like minimum things we have to follow to attend Krishna? Because everything I feel it is very high standard and
These standards are what you are supposed to aspire for. That's how you should think. I should come to this standard. But like most of us are not Yudhishthir and Queen Kunti. We are not on that platform. So you do your best. What is the best? Srila Prabhupada has already said. For regulatory principles, chanting nicely, doing seva. Do it sincerely and you can go back to God. That is the minimum standard for all of us. But we have problems even doing the minimum standard. Right? That's why I was saying we find out all different things and we'll say, I want to do this. Yeah. And that causes a lot of problem for all of us. Yeah. Sidhu, why are you messing around all this? Okay. Text 1.
Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha
Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha
Grihastha etam padam
Grihastha Padavim
Vidinayena Chandrasa
Vidinayena Chandrasa
Yaya Devarashe Bruhi
Yamadevashe Bruhi
Madhusha Grahamudadati
Madhusha
Buddha, ignorant. Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired from Narada Muni, O my Lord, O great sage, kindly explain how we who are staying at home without knowledge of the goal of life may also easily attain liberation according to the instructions of the Vedas. Now it's quite interesting because if you know clearly, this Prahlad Maharaj is a Mahabhagavat or Mahajan. So and then Narada Muni is Mahajan. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj is also Mahajan. and still he's saying, I don't understand. Yeah. So when we put ourselves, we think we know everything. Right? We think we know what the situation is.
You know better.
Yeah. I've heard so many times people say, without thinking carefully, they say Prabhupada didn't know the situation nowadays. It's different now. And I'm really surprised they can even talk like that. So anyway, you can see how Yudhishthira Maharaj is, as you all said, is very humble. He wants to understand how one should conduct in the Grihastha ashram. Now, Grihastha ashram is separate from the other three ashrams because all the other three ashram is basically austerity, knowledge, and preaching. Yeah. Whereas Grihastha ashram is very important ashram because it supports the other three ashrams. But therefore they have to be very Krishna. Mostly they have to be the most Krishna. By serving the other three ashrams, they get blessings and they also go back to Godhead like that. Yeah. So it is very important. It's not like without the Grihastha ashram, the other three ashrams will fall apart. Actually, they are like the support. And I think that's why Prabhupada wanted, well, at least I believe, that this Varnashram Dharma should be supported properly. Then all these sannyasis don't have to beg, I need money, traveling, and this and that. Like that. Yeah. Everything is controlled nicely. The grihasthas manage. Even the GBCs, originally Srila Prabhupada wanted them to be grihasthas. Yeah. But because he couldn't find qualified people, he made the sannyasis GBCs. Because the sannyasis are meant to only preach, not manage. But then now they manage, they preach, they do everything, and it's not good because it doesn't give them the opportunity to preach. They are very powerful personalities. They should be out there preaching. So Prabhupada says, Narada Muni therefore first described brahmacharya, vanaprastha and sannyas, because he wanted to stress that sex is not at all necessary. Although one who absolutely requires it is allowed to enter grihastha life or household life, which is also regulated by the Shastras and Guru. Sometimes you meet people are very nice, but they want to have a family, Or I want to have a child. I want, I've met very nice people. No, but I want to have a child. I want to have family. I really want. So yeah, for them, grihastha life. We shouldn't force people to just go into brahmacharya, vanaprastha, sannyas, like that. No. So Prabhupada says Yudhishthira Maharaj knows this, but as a grihastha, he presented himself as griha mudda dihi, because he says that, right? Like he is very ignorant about the goal of life. Prabhupada also says, if you just stick to household life and not take up the process seriously, then you are also certainly ignorant of life's goal. Basically, he's saying we're all muddas if you don't do it. The difficult thing is taking up the austerity or renunciation. We read about it, and all of life we do not practice that renunciation, right? From the day you're born, you are not given any renunciation roles. You're enforced to have support and everything you want, So you're comfortable. The child must feel comfortable from the very day he or she comes into the world, right? The mother holds, everything is so comfortable. Now, The whole philosophy is saying give up. So it is the most uncomfortable thought for all of us. Very difficult. You're so used to all this thing, comfort, click, call somebody, all this thing. Now you have to give up all these things. It becomes very difficult. Very difficult. So Prabhupada says, one must prepare to undergo austerity or tapasya. Tapodivyam putraka. These are something that is part of our existence. Practicing austerity. We all have to be prepared to undergo some austerity in this life. So what is that austerity? We live our life not too comfortably. Don't make it too comfortable. Yeah, you shouldn't make it too comfortable. Even if you make it very comfortable and then you get some disease, you cannot fix your... I've seen people who cannot even sleep on bed.
Your whole life is making our life comfortable.
Yeah, I know.
Every effort is
moment.
to make our life comfortable.
So now you can see the material world is just trying to... But how can you be comfortable when you're not part of this existence? You understand? You're all spirit souls, therefore you'll never be successful.
Fish out of water.
Huh?
Like fish out of
water, yeah. So therefore, if you like I said, I know a person who could not even lie on bed.
Once we went to Yatra.
Huh?
Once I went to South India Yatra, first South India Yatra. And then the hotels were really bad. So we had to sleep in the down, So we chose the lower seat, they were like different categories.
Yeah.
So we said, let's do some austerity. Chose the lower. Slept near the back. And the whole Yatra was, horrible.
10 days we are complaining.
Yeah.
This is not good, that is not good. Yatra mein jate hain.
Yeah.
Most complaints.
consciousness.
And conscious of Yatra too,
Yeah, because we are used to comfort.
Yeah.
Therefore, we see everything negative. So, yeah.
So then we started choosing the highest one. So now we have this year it was like 5-star hotel, first 4 days.
So Prabhupada says that is one of the reasons why he built Mayapur like that. He said the Westerners are so into comfort and so on. So when they come, it's hard for them. I know 2 of my god brother and 1 god sister who went to Vrindavan, and then when they came back, they quit practicing. Yeah, but one of them, before he died, he came back just before he died. But the lady could not handle it because they saw all the pigs and the sewer. Now it's better, but when those days when we went, it is horrible. Externally, it's so difficult.
So they couldn't relate with the pastimes that they hear in the books.
Yeah,
You can't relate to. Yeah, exactly. They thought Krishna pastime is all wonderful and
Where is
joyful.
that Vedic culture here?
They see the
When they came
pictures,
there,
right?
it wasn't like that.
Ramandriti like pictures, you'll see. Oh, wow.
That's why I think many. I think when I grew up, it was compulsory to go into army and so on. For a certain number of years, almost 2.5 years. So we had to do that. So they throw in the jungle, you are struggling, you go through, you lie on the ground with stones, with insects, all kinds of horrible things, but you go through that. And then you come out a different person. You appreciate what you have like that. And then in life, when you have something difficult, you don't take it so seriously.
I've gone
I've gone through worse. Like that. So
young age you can take it. In young age you can take it.
Yeah.
Maybe Gurukulas were like that. They just
In all day Gurukuls, yeah. But then there was a lot of abuse also. So therefore it's very hard. So Prabhupada ends that paragraph saying, this is how a human being should actually live to fulfill life's ultimate goal. That means you don't create comfortable situation, right? Like the other day, Prabhu was saying now there's 85-inch TV, so they want to put up there and they all want to lie and they watch immersion,
In dentist, you go for dentist.
Dentist also?
Yeah.
They have to really calm. So
What's the thing?
Yeah, I am thinking like this guy fall on my head.
Let's see, you know.
No, whenever I go, tell them turn it up.
Turn it off.
They'll ask, are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Like they'll ask 2-3 times.
Yeah. That's good. Turn it off, man. I don't want to see anything. So you can see, yeah, this is what you are. You, if you don't have Krishna, this is what you will forced to live by. It's ridiculous. Now, you were saying, right? Now the TV is not straight; it's curved. so you cannot run away. So it's ridiculous.
Absorption. Absorption.
So yeah, even because your peripheral vision is 170, I think. Yeah. Right? And it's so then make sure even that is covered. So you cannot see anything.
Anything but
I'm telling you, you all should think very carefully because these are all demons. They are so smart. They are going to catch you and put you into an Xbox, you know. Yeah.
Prabhu is working behind that.
you know.
So you should be careful what's happening. No, the ideas are coming from lower planetary system, I think. We are foolishly, we don't know what
Where is the channel?
Yeah, generally.
Text too.
Sri Narada Uvacha Griheshvavastito Rajan Kriya Karvanyatochita
Purnam
Sakshat Upasheta Mahamuni
Narada Muni replied, my dear king, those who stay at home as householders must act to earn their livelihood. And instead of trying to enjoy the results of their work themselves, they should offer these results to Krishna, Vasudeva. How to satisfy Vasudeva in this life can be perfectly understood through the association of great devotees of the Lord. Very straightforward. Huh? You have to associate with devotees. You cannot stay in your home and think you know what you're doing. Your mind will take over, and then you become a sense gratification person. Somehow or other, you must make sure you're associating with devotees. On a daily basis, you should. You go to temple, you meet some devotees, talk to them a little bit, take darshan, read a little bit, and come back. So that way, you will be having good association, purification will be there. But once in a while, you go and say, hey, how are you doing? Oh, very busy. Then that's it. You'll be busy from the day you came to the temple to the day you die. Like that. We have to be very careful. So Prabhupada says, he quotes from the 6th canto. The format, he says, for Grihastha life should be dedication to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anasrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti ya. Sannyasi cha yogi cha na nirakni na chakriyaha. One who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life. And he is a true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. Bhagavad Gita. So this applies for everyone. Okay, not just Grihasthas, all of us should understand like that. Meaning, we have to work for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, or anyone who's advanced devotees who's guiding us, Srila Prabhupada like that. So very simple. The science is simple actually. Prabhupada says, what is the science? Just to please Krishna. That's nothing else. But who makes the complication? Yeah, we make the complication. We come up with all kinds of situations. And say, no, actually this, no, not that, like that. We say, right? We know ourselves, we give all these restrictions. We say, we cannot have this, it's too much, no. Krishna doesn't know, this is in Satya Yuga. He's God. He doesn't know what I'm going through. Oh, he forgot already. He's no more the super soul in my heart. Right? He just left.
Krishna doesn't have to deal with all
this. Exactly. You have to associate with devotees. That's one of the primary purpose. When Ramananda Rai was asked, what is the greatest disappointment like that? And he said, when I can't get devotee association. Yeah. You all remember? Ramananda Rai says that to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah. So devotee association must be there. You may say, oh, they are not that advanced. But the point is, are you that advanced? To say someone is not advanced, then you are claiming you are more advanced. But that we don't see like that. One should be able to associate with all kinds, 3 categories. Supposed to associate. If you are more advanced, then go and help others. Like that. So Prabhupada says this should be the principle, our principle. Saksha Upasita Mahamuni. Again, in the next paragraph he says, means associating with great devotees. So make time. If you feel that you cannot, then I think most temples now is online, all the lectures and so on. So go and listen to those things. Always listen. My philosophy is always try to listen as much as Prabhupada classes you can. He will really help you to understand that you are suffering. If you don't think you are suffering, you will realize after listening to Prabhupada's classes that you are actually suffering. Because purity is the force. So whatever he says is out of compassion. And it will touch your heart. And he's not joking. And if you're not doing it, then it's sad. All I can say is I'm very sad that you're not doing it. You should hear. And then you can listen to other gurus if you want. There's no restriction on that. But you should listen to at least, if not once a day, do it once a week at least. It's very, very healthy for your Krishna consciousness. So that is also associating with the Mahabhagavat. Listening to Srila Prabhupada. And you will get all that you need. Actually, if you listen to Prabhupada, it's so simple that you'll know exactly, you'll immediately say, I'm going to do it. And you will do it for a while. And then as soon as you stop listening to Prabhupada, then you'll forget. And that's part of our problem in our society. We don't hear sufficiently, and therefore we are not able to attain that kind of consciousness. And then if you don't sustain that consciousness, then you have to dive, right? The aircraft flies, but sometimes it has to come down, no? Because it has to land somewhere like that. So similarly, if you don't sustain it, you have to come down to the material nature. We are not able to say that, I'm doing it for Krishna all the time. So then you can come to the stage of Vasudeva Arpana, dedicating your life to Krishna. So like 100 years ago, Prabhupada says, even in India they were following this principle. Then he says, I saw that in the villages of Bengal and the suburbs of Calcutta, people engaged in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam daily, and all their activities ended, or at least in the evening before going to bed. So he's telling us something here. What? Yeah. And at least in the evening before going to bed, everyone would hear the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam classes were held in every village, and thus people had the advantage of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes everything about the aim of life, liberation or salvation. So even if you say you can't, it's hard for you, but at least, before you go to bed, read Krishna book at least, because that is also Bhagavatam. Make it a practice of your life. Once you start doing it for 1 week, you are good to go. It will become habit. Yeah. That's a statement, right? I forgot in English. If you do it a certain number of times, it becomes a habit.
I think they said 21 days.
21 days? Okay, so do it for 21 days.
During Purushottam.
Actually, my time is 21 days here.
Yeah.
Hopefully you all can do it. Maybe one more day is 21 because I'm leaving already. Yeah. Text 3 and 4.
Srimad Bhagavatam Vishnam Avatara Katamritam Shraddhatano Yata Kalam Upasanta Janavrita Satsangacanakai Sangam Atma Jayatmajadishu Vimunchen Muchamaneshu Swayam Swapnavadutthita
A grihastha must associate again and again with saintly persons. So twice he's saying this. And with great respect, he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord. And his incarnations as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream.
Dream.
Well, this life is a dream, right? You next life you will have to again start over, new life, new wife, new husband, new children. Yeah. But same problems. Same problem. Maybe more of this problem, less of that problem, right? This life your son was not so good. Next life your son is very good, your daughter is horrible. So why go through those things? What are you all looking at each other? Make this your last life, so you don't have to come back. So Prabhupada's point.
No, this is
the life. These are my kids.
Yeah, that's illusion. That's part of the illusion. We all think this is the only life, and we act like that. We have to be very careful. That's why constant repetition, reading Prabhupada's book, you will know, yes, I've been through many lives. Right? You can look in the mirror in the morning when you get up to put tilak and say, this is what I wanted. Now I'm here. I'm stuck in this life.
The tilak is good, Prabhu.
Yeah.
this good aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you put, you should think, I'm doing this. I came because of my desires. Now I'm going through this life. Right? So Prabhupada writes, the Krishna consciousness movement has been established to give grihasthas all over the world an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita specifically. So he knows why he created this situation. So he wants to help the grihasthas. Why then they can be purified of their sinful inclination for constant indulgence in the breaking of the 4 regulative principles, right? That's modern society. Correct. You drive down, you see McDonald's, right? What is that? Starbucks. Then what is it? Subway, Taco Bell,
Tutta Bella.
Tutta Bella. I was thinking it's like Hindi, Tutta Bella.
Tutta is broken.
Huh? Tutta Bella.
Bella in Kannada is jaggery.
Broken jaggery.
Broken jaggery.
Broken sweet. So all these things are there. You're bombarded, and then big screens of scantily dressed men and women. It's always like that. Nothing. Perfume they sell, the car they sell. There must be a beautiful woman or scantily dressed woman or men there like that. Meaningless. But that's what you are, and so you always they been told to break the principles. Or alcohol, tequila, right? Right? We saw the box. We are laughing this morning. Look at that.
Costco box.
Yeah. Right? And then some wine, some brandy, something, Bad 69, right? And then what is it? Jack Daniels. Right? All these big signs. Or smoking. Camel used to be big sign those days. And then people complain, now they take the camel, the camel would be smoking, jacket, looking cool. So they're like, you'll be a camel,
So every Friday, Prabhu, in my office,
Yeah.
like 20 people will gather in a conference room, and 1 or 2 people will actually get
Drinks.
exotic from their country or wherever they visited,
Oh, yeah.
and then everybody will start
Indulging in
in drinking. And
simple life. Yeah.
In office?
Yeah. It's
every Friday.
common.
So one time they actually, what they did was they actually sent in, one of my friend, he sent an email. He set up a meeting, very important architecture review. You have to come. So I went there actually. I didn't know what was going on. Then everybody started and coming, opening up the
Beer
bottles.
bottles.
I told, okay, I'm leaving.
Yeah. You're like shocked. What am I
Yeah.
doing here? Yeah, you can just say Haribol to everybody and then leave like that. Yeah. But our goal is to be, as Prabhupada says, Punya Shravana Kirtana. You're supposed to do those activities. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Always chanting the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Somehow or other we should do this. Every opportunity you get, you should chant, actually. Unless you don't have, then you're working busy. If you may be, on call 24 hours like that. Yeah. So that may be different. But still, I had god brothers who were working for the city. So, so he was like close to like 67, 65. Then I was telling, why are you working for so long? Quit He said, no, this is the best job. I said, what best job? He said, I sit there all day and chant and go online and watch all the videos of Krishna consciousness. I said, what do you mean you don't do? He said, they don't care about me. I'm sitting there in the corner. I've been there for the last 25 years. So he says he'll go late also. He said, my boss is so nice. He'll call and say, I'm coming late. He said, no problem. I'll cover for you.
You both don't do it.
So he'll go there and then he'll go late, 9 o'clock, 9:50 like that. And he reach there, 15 minutes drive or something. Then he say after 1 hour he'll say he'll go for a walk. Japa walk. So they are in charge of the parks and recreation.
Oh, that's the serial also.
So that's what he does. And then he said, after I come back, then boss and I say, let's go for lunch.
People are dreaming here. A job like that.
And then he says he comes back and then he'll close his eyes and sleep.
And then wake up, watch.
Yeah, and then after he get out, he said he'll go online, watch some live lecture going on Mayapur. So his last 10 years was like that. So Krishna arranged so nicely for him because he's always wanting to serve. Even when in temple, he'll serve. Yeah, he'll always serve. So you can see, Punya Shravana Kirtana.
We are immersed. Illusion at top.
Yeah. But if you are sincere, the Lord will arrange, like that. Yeah, he'll go travel. Now he's retired, so he'll go everywhere, parikram, everywhere in the world. With the parikram, he'll go like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
Kubera Prabhu.
like that.
Good.
And he's a joyful person. Happy.
Yeah, he's there.
So anyway, we'll stop here for like 10 minutes.
He comes every yatra. Right?
And yeah, we went there.
Yeah.